Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You know how some movies just never seem to stay dead? No matter how many sequels, spin-offs, or wild plot twists they go through, they always find a way to come back. Well, Highlander is exactly one of those. For years, fans have been waiting to see if someone would finally give this franchise the proper reboot it deserves. Well, it's officially happening. The Highlander reboot is on the way. Sit back and enjoy as we break down everything we know so far about it. The Legacy of Highlander, a quick look back. Alright, before we dive into the reboot, let's rewind for a second. Highlander is a fantasy action film that came out in 1986. It was directed by Russell Mulcahy and starred Christopher Lambert, Roxanne Hart, Sean Connery, and Clancy Brown. The movie follows the story of immortal warriors who have been secretly fighting each other for centuries, all leading up to one final battle in modern-day New York City. The main character is Connor MacLeod, a man born in the Scottish Highlands in the 1500s. During a battle, he's seriously wounded by a ruthless fighter named the Kurgan, but somehow survives. His people do not exactly see that as a miracle. They think it's witchcraft and kick him out of the village. A few years later, Connor meets Ramirez, another immortal played by Sean Connery. Ramirez explains that Connor is part of a group of immortals who can't die unless someone takes their head. These immortals fight each other over centuries, and the last one standing wins something called the prize. The movie jumps between the past and the present, where the final showdown is happening in New York in 1985. Connor has to face the Kurgan one last time to stop him from winning the prize, which could be dangerous in the wrong hands. When Highlander first released, it didn't do well in the box office and got mixed reviews, but over time it gained a huge cult following. People loved it for its unique story, epic sword fights, and a killer soundtrack by Queen, especially the song Princes of the Universe. That song even became the theme for the later TV show. And of course, the famous line from the film, "There can be only one," pretty much became a pop culture legend. The success of the film led to several sequels, TV shows, an animated series, comics, and more. They also introduced other members of the MacLeod clan over time, like Duncan MacLeod, who starred in the TV series that ran through most of the 90s. The show also brought in other key characters like Amanda, an immortal thief, and Mythos, the oldest immortal alive, both of whom even got their own spin-offs. So yeah, Highlander grew way beyond just one movie. It became an entire universe. When is the Highlander reboot actually releasing? The Highlander movies that followed the 1986 original never really lived up to what made the first one special. The sequels were pretty hit or miss, and the franchise became kind of inconsistent over the years. Still, the original has stayed a fan favorite. The reboot itself has been in development for a long time, and has seen a lot of different names attached over the years. One of the big updates recently is that the rights to Highlander have officially changed hands. It used to be with Lionsgate, but now the entire franchise, including the upcoming Henry Cavill reboot, is moving over to Amazon MGM under the United Artists banner. And this is not just about the movie, they now have the rights to develop TV shows and other spin-offs from the Highlander universe too. To backtrack a bit, Summit Entertainment first bought the rights back in 2008 with plans to do a remake called Highlander Reckoning, with Justin Lin directing. But after Lin dropped out in 2011, they brought in 28 weeks later director Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. That didn't last either, he left not long after. Since 2016, John Wick director Chad Stahelski has been attached to lead the project. This is actually his first big film outside of the John Wick series. Michael Finch, who worked on John Wick 4, has written the script for the reboot as well. For a while, it looked like Highlander might end up stuck in development forever. But recently, things have started to move. The original plan was to begin filming in Scotland in January 2025. That has been pushed back a bit because of reshoots for Ballerina, the John Wick spin-off that Stahelski was working on. Stahelski also mentioned that if everything lines up, they're aiming to start shooting sometime in September. And from the looks of it, the movie could be hitting theaters in 2027 or maybe 2028. We don't know exactly what still needs to be sorted out behind the scenes, and there's no official release date either. But it's a good sign that things are finally moving forward. The cast. Who's playing who? Henry Cavill is no stranger to playing iconic characters. Over the years, he's suited up as Superman, taken on the role of Sherlock Holmes in Netflix's Enola Holmes films, and swung swords as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher. Now he's gearing up for another big role as the lead in the Highlander reboot. Henry Cavill will play the role of Connor MacLeod, our favorite immortal Scottish Highlander living in New York. After years of speculation about whether he would play an established character or someone entirely new, it's now confirmed that Cavill is stepping directly into the role of MacLeod. Way back in 2008, there were talks of bringing Highlander back, with names like Ryan Reynolds and even Kevin McKidd being considered. Honestly, McKidd might have been a pretty solid choice, since he's actually Scottish. But in the end, it was Henry Cavill who landed the part in 2021, and he's been waiting ever since for the production to get moving. As casting goes, Cavill makes a lot of sense. He's already proven that he knows his way around a sword thanks to The Witcher, and from what he's hinted, what we've seen so far is nothing compared to what is coming in Highlander. The reboot also added another big name, Russell Crowe. He's officially signed on to play Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, the immortal mentor who helps guide McCloud through his immortal conflict. If that name sounds familiar, it's because Sean Connery played Ramirez's character originally in the 1986 film. Crowe definitely has some big shoes to fill, but if anyone is up to the task, it's him. The casting is also a bit of a reunion. Cavill and Crowe last worked together back in the 2013 Man of Steel, where Crowe played Superman's father, Jor-El. Even though Jor-El was only in the film's first act, his role had a huge impact on Cavill's Superman. While Man of Steel 2 sadly never happened, the Highlander reboot kind of feels like a second chance to see these two actors team up again in a big action film. What's even cooler is how their dynamic in Highlander mirrors what we saw in Man of Steel. Crowe's Ramirez is a mentor figure to Cavill's character, just like Jor-El was to Superman. Only this time, they'll be sharing a lot more screen time. It might not be the Man of Steel sequel fans were hoping for, but seeing them side by side again in a blockbuster is a pretty great consolation. It'll still be a while before Highlander hits theaters, but if you're a fan of Man of Steel, or just excited to see Cavill and Crowe back in action together, this one is definitely something to look forward to. What's the story this time? The basic premise of Highlander is pretty simple, but super intriguing. It sounds like it's aiming to freshen things up while keeping the spirit of the original alive. Instead of retelling the same story where immortals battle until only one remains, director Chad Stahelski is shifting focus. The movie sets up the gathering rather than jumping straight into it, giving the franchise room to expand into something bigger. In the original 1986 film, it looked like Connor McCloud had won that battle after defeating the Kurgan. But then the franchise kept going, especially with the spin-off TV series which introduced the idea that there were still other immortals out there. It was a way to keep the story alive, even after what seemed like a pretty final ending. Stahelski seems to get that challenge, so instead of this being the end of the Immortals, it's more of a lead-up to that event, a way to grow the story and build a proper franchise. Stahelski explained that the new film will pull from both the original movie and the TV series to create something fresh while still familiar. The idea is to act as a bit of a prequel, laying the groundwork for the gathering, but still featuring many of the characters fans know. It's not a total reboot that throws everything out, it's more like a reimagining that respects the original while expanding it. He also mentioned that the story will not just stay in the past. It starts in the Scottish Highlands in the 1500s, but moves beyond present-day New York and even Hong Kong. That means the action is going to be global, and there's plenty of opportunity for those intense sword fights that the series is known for. Interestingly, Stahelski hinted that there's a bit of a love story woven in, but not in the way people might expect. Plus, if you're a fan of the John Wick films, you'll probably recognize some of the same storytelling tricks. Stahelski said he's bringing over some of what he learned about building mythology and bending the typical action movie formula. And yes, for those wondering, the Queen music from the original is not being left behind. Stahelski confirmed that the reboot will definitely use some of that iconic soundtrack, although maybe not exactly the way people expected. Still, it's a nice nod to where it all started. It's no secret that the Highlander franchise has had its ups and downs. Some pretty rough ones, honestly, especially with movies like Highlander 2: The Quickening, the one where they randomly decided the Immortals were aliens. So hearing that Stahelski is focused on the story, cleaning up the lore, and setting the stage for something bigger is actually reassuring for longtime fans. Marvelous verdict. Well, that's where things stand with the Highlander reboot for now. The wait has indeed been very long, but it's exciting to see that both the star and the director of a project are clearly passionate about bringing it to life. All we can do is hope that they pull off a great reboot. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Stahelski has made comments on how a Highlander TV show right now would be amazing, but what do you think? Should Highlander be a movie, or would it work better as a TV series? Do you think Henry Cavill can pull off the role? And maybe more importantly, the accent? And how deep should they dive into the mythology this time around? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed watching this, do remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more like this. Thanks for watching. Until next time!